Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the second webinar in the Care Time webinar series. Let's see if we have everyone joining. Check and see who we have on the call today. Perfect. Looks like we have some folks joining the call right now. Perfect. Thank you so much for those that have joined so far. I'll give it just a couple more minutes for folks to join, and then we'll officially get started. All right, I think this is what we have so far. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Julio Barea. I'm the Vice President of Sales for the Allied Care Time Group, and I'm joined today with Kara Rodriguez, our Senior Product Manager. Good afternoon, Kara. It's good to see you.
Good afternoon. It's good to be here.
So today we're going to talk about something that I think is, as part of our, I kind of like prelude the conversation with, thank you for joining our second series in this webinar group that we're doing. We're trying to show things that we think will help our clients and folks that are interested in being our clients to utilize our software in the most efficient way possible and make sure you get the most out of it. And that's the purpose of this webinar. I encourage you to reach out to us with either questions at the end or reach out to our company directly if there's things that you'd like us to cover and you're one of our existing clients. Please let us know. I'm always looking for ideas of things that we could talk about. So today we're going to talk about CareMatch. And I think that CareMatch arguably might be the most underutilized feature that we have in Care Time. It is by far my favorite. It is something that I think as a busy scheduler is incredibly useful. And I think that it's what we've seen in feedback from most of the people that work with us is what has been the most useful in filling open shifts quickly, efficiently, and accurately, right? So let's talk about what and why we're having a feature like this and what do we mean by CareMatch. Essentially, CareMatch is the ability to match clients and caregivers. Make sure that we are choosing the right criteria to match these clients and caregivers when you're filling an open shift. Make sure that we've checked availability for filling an open shift. Make sure that there's skills necessary for this person to work with the client. Make sure that the credentials are fully up to date. And putting all those together can be a significant job for a scheduler. Imagine you're a scheduler in a busy agency. You're working every day. Our statistics tell us that 10 to 15 of your shifts in every given week are going to require you to fill that open shift, either onboarding a new client or you're going to have an existing shift that has been canceled by a caregiver and you have to find somebody else. And if you're a scheduler or an administrator in this business, right, that's going to take time. You have to call the caregivers that are available. You have to figure out which ones are available. You have to check their criteria. But there's something interesting that we see, right? We know that every one of the folks on this call probably has what I call the fountain of institutional knowledge scheduler in the office, right? This is somebody that knows every client, every caregiver, every schedule, and every criteria at the top of the head. But if you're growing your busy agency, something like this isn't really scalable. And so what we're here to do today is talk about how you can utilize this, whether it's somebody who has a lot of knowledge or whether you're somebody that's covering for somebody who maybe is taking a much needed vacation day or is sick. So this is what you do and how you would use something like CareMatch. So Kara, can you kind of show us where CareMatch is in Care Time and how we would access it from the different areas?
Absolutely. So from here, we're just on the main schedule page. I've already filtered to open shifts only. So shifts that need to be filled by a caregiver still. If you click on it, it'll open the editing tool and you see a tab right here called Find a Caregiver with CareMatch. And this will pre-fill the date of that schedule and the time. And you'll see the qualifications here. And then the matches that would appear at the bottom. So that's one way, just from the already existing shift.
Okay.
Or from the left-hand column, we have a whole CareMatch section. And again, you can just select the client from here, fill in that availability, the qualifications, and again, see the matches at the bottom. The screen's nice just because it's a little bit bigger. And then you can also go into the client list. So if you click on a specific client, let's look at Tony. If you go to edit, and then we have the CareMatch tab right here. This is where they're set. But if you want to go to the schedule to see any open shifts for him and fill those out, there's a schedule page. Again, you can filter if you want just open shifts. And just like the main schedule, you would open CareMatch here.
That's great. And is this also the area, where do I set those preferences for the client that
Yep,
we
so
use to determine?
they're right here in this CareMatch tab that we looked at a second ago. Any certifications that are necessary can be clicked there. Service needs, so these are actually pulled from the service needs and goals tab, so they don't need to be re-entered again. Saves a little time. Gender, so what preference do they have regarding the caregiver gender? Do they have any pets? Do they smoke? Are they okay with the caregiver smoking? And any other little notes that we want to add, and then of course the COVID vaccination preference. And there are some other criteria such as language that's pulled from the profile page automatically.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And where do we, and if we want to make sure that the caregiver's criteria is set, where do we do that?
You may have guessed, the caregiver list. So we go into a caregiver. If you hit edit again, of course, you will see that CareMatch section up at the top. And you will see if they're willing to provide for any height or weight maximums for the client. Is smoking okay? Do they smoke? You know, are they okay with any pets in the house? If they are, how many? And what skills can they perform? All can be checked off there. And then their availability, of course, is one of the most important factors. That is pulled directly from the availability tab. So again, no need for double entry. We already know when they're available to work. And then some other additional information that is pulled from the caregiver's profile tab, such as their certification, how long they've worked as a caregiver, gender, the office that they work at.
That's a lot of information. Thank you, Kara. I appreciate it. So let's do this then. Let's show you folks that are on the call how this would work in real time. So Kara, maybe let's just bring up one of the open shifts on the schedule. And so let's say it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday. You just got a phone call that the caregiver for this shift isn't going to make it, or car broke down, or child is sick. Some of the scenarios that, let's be honest, you see them every day, multiple times a day. So you literally just click on that open shift and it brings up this pop-up box, and it has the ability to change both the shift details, right? So we can manage at any given moment the shift details, the shift recurrence, right? Caregiver needs. But Kara went straight to CareMatch, and right here before we do anything, we can see what's been pre-set up. And the most important part, best practice in using CareMatch, is making sure that you've set up those criteria at the client, the caregiver level, and to Kara's point, availability. Availability is very important. If you've done that, they will pre-populate in the CareMatch screen that she's showing you right now. There are optional questions in here as well. You can go in, you can change the answers. There are scenarios where maybe you don't need certain criteria on any given day, right? So what Kara did now is it took 1 second, she pressed the Find Caregivers button, and she went ahead and gave you the list of the caregivers that match this. And this is a lot of great information here. So we can see the caregiver, their email address, their phone number, how far away they are from the client. We can even show you the map. Maybe let's click on the map there, Kara, and show the client map. And so the mapping function built in allows you to see exactly how far away the caregiver is from that client and the route, the optimized route from the mapping software that we connect to. It's a third party. So let's go back to the CareMatch. One thing you'll note here, you'll see these scores. This is unique to our system. Nobody else does this. And I think that this by far is what makes this an incredibly useful tool, because instead of only giving you the caregivers that match these criteria, it gives you caregivers that match the criteria by percentage of match to the criteria. Kara clicked on that, and what it showed you here was the check boxes that were used to determine the score of that criteria. I honestly, I can't read that score. It's a little small for me, but I think, does that say 100%, Kara?
That is a 90%.
That is a 90%. So we can see that language and certification don't match. So this would not be a perfect match, but it is 90%. You'll notice it goes down from there. And if you take a look at the remainder, you have all of the caregivers that meet some sort of match percentage. What's the one at the bottom? I believe that's a 40% that I can see there.
45, yep.
So think about that. If you have a lot of caregivers, then you have the luxury of using that 100% match. And we see that on a day-to-day basis. But if you're like many of us in the business and you have a shortage of caregivers, or you have just enough caregivers, sometimes you can't give yourself the luxury of expecting that 100% match. And you want to know who's available that might be a fit and how far away they are. And that's why this works for you. You can't get this with any other system today. So you'll be able to see your 90%, your 80%, click on them, take a look, and the administrator or the scheduler or a case manager can look at these and determine, is this something we can let slide on this shift in order to get it filled and take care of our client, provide them a great outcome, or do we need to keep looking? So once you've determined these caregivers that you want to use, you have your communication options, right? You can text your caregivers as SMS. You can email. Well, first let's talk about texting. This will take you right to our texting functionality. So from here, it's going to pre-populate the SMS phone numbers that are in the system of all the caregivers that were selected in the match that we want to use, along with a message. And Kara, is this message something we can customize?
Yep, you can add in whatever you would like here.
Perfect. So if you have a bonus for somebody accepting a shift, if you're paying mileage, if there's something that's not already in the care plan that you want to point out, you could point it out here and get that message out there. Then what's going to happen is that the caregivers would reply, right, to that text message if they're interested in the shift, but also the caregivers can see these open shifts from their mobile app as well, right?
That is correct. So in the mobile app, we have a open shifts page, and they can see any open shift that is available to them. And then they would go in and they can request that shift or just mark it as not interested.
Perfect. Thank you. So you have three ways to communicate with a caregiver: text, email, and the caregiver has the ability to see this through the OpenShift module in their encrypted app with CareTime. So I believe that covers most of the use cases for those. One of the things that happens when the caregiver accepts the shift, all it means is it sends you a notification that says that they want to work this shift. And Kara's showing you where those notifications are going to pop up. And then you can click on that notification. And these are the requests. And then all we have to do is approve the pending request for that shift if we choose to give it to that caregiver. So you can do all of this from right here from your main screen without even going into your email. The alert and active request system in here works. Really, really nice functionality. And you notice it's got a list of all the other requests down there that you can see the most recent ones and see what's happening with these requests. So this is good stuff, Kara. So I think we've covered a lot of it. This is this functionality, we have seen it used very well with the largest agencies. It's something that we think our stats tell you that we'd love to see more people use it. If you have any questions, you're happy to reach out to our support team and answer those questions. But we hope that this call really helped kind of crystallize and show you how it works. So I have a few questions popping up in the app here, so I'm going to ask those. Question number one is, can I change or add criteria, Kara?
As it stands right now, there is no custom criteria that can be added. However, we are going to add that to our roadmap for future development.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kara. Next question says, does it automatically assign caregivers to a shift if they accept it?
And as we saw up here with the hand, no, it doesn't automatically assign, but you can approve it as an agency admin.
Thank you so much. The third question is, where do caregivers see open shifts? As we explained earlier, caregivers can see open shifts in their mobile app, as well as get notified about open shifts in their text messaging. The last question I have here says, what stands out in our CareMatch versus something like that with other vendors? That's a really good question. And I can say that with unequivocally, as I have spent some time in the business and seen other vendors, the 100% and the percentage of match is unique to Care Time. And I think if you're a busy agency or you're short staffed, it's really nice to know that there are other caregivers available that, while not perfect, they're somebody to look at without you having to think about who you might reach out to that didn't pop up in that match. Most of what we see out in the market today is a simple toggle switch that says show only matched caregivers or show all caregivers. And you can imagine if you have a large agency and some of our clients are very large, you'll see that that's probably not very helpful in saving you time and trying to fill a shift. All right, perfect. Let me take a moment and see if we have any other questions here. Otherwise, we are going to show a poll. And you folks will forgive me. I'm trying to find my poll so I could show you the poll. Oh, you guys are off the hook. No poll questions today for you folks. Thank you so much for joining the call. I would love to hear feedback personally on what you would like us to talk about next. Feel free to reach out to us, or you can reach out to me. My email address is pretty common. It's julio.barea@allycaretime.com. And somebody came up with that poll. Great job, Kara. Thank you so much. The
No
poll
problem.
is up. Basically, the poll is asking you, how long does it take you a day filling and managing shift assignments? We have 2 answers so far at 1.5 hours. Perfect. Thank you so much, folks. We've got 30 minutes, 1.5 hours. Nobody more than 1.5 hours, Kara. I thought somebody would take more than 1.5 hours.
There you go. We've got
There we
one.
go. We have somebody doing 1.5 hours or more. That's a lot more than I'm happy to see that. Let us know how we can help. We got more poll answers coming in. Perfect. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining today. We look forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Have a great afternoon.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.